Welcome to another Red Hunt video. Story 1. Am I the antagonist for stealing the spotlight at a wedding? I attended a wedding for the son of my parents' friend. To give you some context, I've been playing the piano my whole life, and I'm often asked to perform at events. I haven't personally met the groom since I was a baby, and I had never met the bride or her family until the wedding. A few days prior to the wedding, my parents informed me that I would be playing a piano piece during the reception. I didn't think much of it because I've played at other weddings before, so I got ready for it without realizing that there was a significant miscommunication looming. During the reception, the groom's father, who is a family friend, met me and guided me to the piano. I began to play the piece, thinking everything was okay, since it seemed like the groom's father had organized and coordinated this with the bride and groom's approval. However, a little while after I started playing, the bride approached me with a look of anger and demanded that I stop. She confronted me, expressing her frustration. She stated that it was her wedding day and that I had the audacity to try to steal the spotlight. It became clear to me that she had no idea about my performance. I explained that I thought I was invited to play, but she retorted that she didn't even know who I was. The groom's father rushed over to explain, but by then, it was evident that I had already upset her on such a significant day. I genuinely feel terrible about the situation. The last thing I wanted was to ruin her special day. The reason I'm posting this is because I truly want to apologize to her, but my family is advising me not to, suggesting that she was in the wrong for yelling at me. While her words were harsh, I can understand her frustration. After all, who would want a random girl playing the piano at their wedding? So, am I the antagonist here? Remember that relationships can be mended with open communication and understanding. Apologizing might not only provide you with a sense of closure, but also demonstrate your maturity and willingness to rectify a situation that went awry. In the end, the bride's perspective might change when she realizes that you didn't have ill intentions, and it could be a step towards reconciliation. You're definitely not the asshole in this situation. Your family's advice not to apologize is spot on, because you have nothing to apologize for. You were instructed to play at the event, guided to the piano by the person who you believed was organizing things, and you performed as planned. You had no part in the miscommunication. I understand that weddings can bring a lot of stress, but it's important to note that the one who turned this into a negative situation was the bride, not you. If she had allowed you to finish your performance, it likely wouldn't have caused any issues. Instead, she chose to create a scene on what should have been her special day. You're definitely not the asshole here. There was certainly a miscommunication. However, it's worth considering why the bride felt so insecure about a young woman playing a lovely tune on the piano. How are your parents not furious with their friend who put their minor child in this position? Story 2. Am I the antagonist for telling my best friend what my GF was saying about him and his wife? Hey there, I'm a 32-year-old guy who's known my best friend since kindergarten. He got married a few years back, and while his wife is pretty cool, she can be a bit loud and over the top sometimes. My girlfriend and I were together for 8 years. I genuinely loved and adored her. Towards the end, our relationship was already strained. I admit that I have my own faults, but I can't shake off the thought that maybe I played a part in being the final straw. My ex-girlfriend had a profession related to art, but I won't go into details. She had an art show coming up, a significant one with important people attending. She considered it a valuable networking opportunity. I understood that aspect. She sent out invites to everyone, including my best friend, his wife, and I. They live about 1.5 hours away. The night before the show, she sat down with me, chuckled, and said, "So, I need you to babysit your friend's wife tomorrow." She instructed me to get them out of the event quickly and go out to eat or something. She went on to express how she didn't want to hear my friend's wife's loud voice, see her hairstyle, her happy dances, or even her face. She also mentioned not wanting to hear my friend's voice all night. Furthermore, she basically said this was my sole job for the night. I reminded her that my friend was helping her company for free. The conversation continued, and she kept doing an exaggerated imitation of my friend's wife. I called up my friend and suggested that we skip the art show and just hang out. He seemed to sense something was off, so I decided to be honest and tell him what happened. The next day, my now ex-girlfriend asked when we'd be arriving at the show. I told her we wouldn't be going because of her behavior the previous night. She lost her cool, started yelling, throwing things, and accused me of deliberately sabotaging her before the art show. That wasn't my intention at all. She claimed that my actions were the ultimate betrayal, and a few days later, she moved out. Maybe it was a betrayal, I'm not sure. Was I the jerk here? Or was it just a crappy situation with no good outcome? I'm grappling with guilt about something, and I wonder if things could have turned out differently if I hadn't taken those steps. You made the right call by prioritizing the comfort and dignity of your friend and his wife. It's not your responsibility to manage your ex-girlfriend's insecurities or cater to her unrealistic expectations. The fact that she escalated the situation into an explosive argument and accused you of deliberate sabotage only reinforces that her behavior was problematic. Ultimately, it seems like the situation highlighted deeper issues in your relationship that were likely already strained. While it's natural to feel guilt and wonder about different outcomes, it's important to recognize that healthy relationships are built on mutual respect and understanding, which seem to be lacking here. You stood up for your friend and his wife, and that's commendable. You're definitely not the antagonist in this situation. If your ex-girlfriend didn't want to deal with your friend's wife, she shouldn't have invited them to the event. It's not reasonable to expect you to control an adult's behavior or personality. You were put in a tough spot with conflicting loyalties, and it sounds like you made the best decision you could in a challenging situation. Absolutely not the antagonist. Honestly, your ex-girlfriend's behavior comes across as dramatic. She wanted your friends to make a 3-hour round trip just for them to be there briefly, and then hastily leave. The request seems unreasonable. It's hard to see how not showing up at all would inflict maximum damage. Your decision to spare your friend and his wife from your ex-GF's toxic behavior was a responsible one. The fact that your ex eventually left on her own accord might be a blessing in disguise. You're not at fault here. It sounds to me like the only thing you should feel guilty about was staying with someone who was so mean to your long-term friends for as long as you did.